May the souls of our departed compatriots rest in perfect peace. Amen. Senator Ekono Yaken.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise on Order 43, personal explanation. I did mention to Mr. President that I want to announce the demise of a senator in my state. If I may have the permission of Mr. President, I'll proceed to read Order 43. Permission to read.
Sorry, which order is that? Order 43. You may read.
By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there be no question before the Senate, for no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when he leaves to make it a sought.
Okay, you may read, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, demise of Senator Etang Edet Umoyo, Otuekong Ibibio. I raise this point of order to bring to the notice of the distinguished Senate of the passing of a great nationalist, elder statesman, defender of truth and justice, accomplished politician and lover of God, Senator Etang Edet Umoyo, who transited to the great beyond on the 13th of February 2021 at the age of 71 years old. Senator Etang Edet Umoyo was born on the 21st day of April 1949 to late Elder Edet Umoyo of Irungorok Etebi in Esreket local government area of Akwa Ibom State and late Madam Nkoyo Edet Umoyo. He attended his primary education at Akpautong Salvation Army Secondary School, Akayubium, and his secondary education at Methodist Boys High School, Oron, before proceeding to University of Nigeria in Nsukka, where he studied sociology. Senator Umoyo worked with several reputable companies in Nigeria before he was appointed a commissioner in 1983 by the then Cross River State government. He served as Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture and was later redeployed as Commissioner for Local Government Affairs. He later joined National Republican Convention, NRC, and won a seat in the Senate. He represented my constituency, Akwa Ibom South Senatorial District, in the 3rd Assembly. At the return to democracy in 1999, he was a pioneer member of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Akwa Ibom State. Senator Umoyo contributed greatly to the development of Akwa Ibom State and Nigeria in general, always at the vanguard of service to his people, and mentored many known politicians in Akwa Ibom State and beyond. He also had a great penchant for tradition, a very thorough person who gave great details to every bit of thing he had to do, and was an ardent believer to the greatness of Nigeria. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Senator Etang Umoyo indeed contributed to the development of this great nation, and his death is a huge loss. I therefore urge the Senate to observe a minute silence in honor of late Senator Etang Umoyo. 2, send a delegation to commiserate with his family, immediate family, and the good people of Akwa Ibom State. Thank you, Mr. President.
Because you have come under Standing Order 43, this is not open to debate, so we'll observe a minute silence in honor of our late colleague. 1 minute silence, please. May the soul of our late former colleague rest in perfect peace. Amen. Senator Issa Jibrin.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise under orders 42 and 52, and with the permission of the President, I may go ahead to read.
You may proceed, please.
The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent.
Yes, go ahead, please. It's Standing Order 43, isn't it? Sorry? Okay. But that means I have to put the question. Distinguished colleagues, Senator Issa Jibrin has come under Orders 42 and 52 requesting that we endorse his request for him to present a motion. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. You may present the motion, please.
Thank you very much.
Chief Whip, please, the chamber is a bit rowdy, and I think there is need for no standing at the gangway, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues. The Senate knows that Oloma Borough local government, with its headquarters in Oko, covers about 1,123 kilometers and has a population of about 213,000, with farming as a major occupation of the people. Worried that with the commencement of the rains, over 200 residential buildings were destroyed across many communities in the local government in a rainstorm following a heavy downpour on 9th of April 2021. Further worried that apart from destruction of residential buildings, The devastating rainstorm also ravaged crops, farmlands, schools, worship houses, clinics, and businesses in several communities in the local government. Bothered that many victims of the disaster sustained various degrees of injury and are receiving medical attention at various health centers within the local government and neighboring local governments. Concerned that the disaster creates a serious humanitarian crisis as families are rendered homeless and their means of livelihood and properties worth millions of naira destroyed by the rainstorm, thereby creating a situation of internal displacement. Appreciates that for ease of intervention, the major affected communities are Ogugu Central, Ogane, Oforachi, Emodiba, Iyodo, Emagaba, Emanega, and so on. Accordingly, the Senate resolves to mandate the Committee on Special Duties to liaise with the National Emergency Management Agency to urgently supply relief and rehabilitation materials to the communities affected to mitigate the sufferings of the victims, and equally mandate the Committee on Poverty Alleviation and Social Investment Program to liaise with the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development to provide minimal seed capitals for the victims in the affected communities to facilitate their various economic activities, and both committees to report back to the Senate within 2 weeks. I so move, sir. Mr. President, I so move, sir.
Thank you. Any seconder? Senator Yakubu Oseni.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Yakubu Oseni, representing Kogi Central. I rise to support the motion ably raised by my colleague, Senator Jibril Issa. This is Mr. President, sir, distinguished colleagues, this is a natural disaster that nobody is actually prepared for, and as such, we seek the support of this Arrow Chamber to come to the aid of the affected community so that they can bring succor to the people. So I so second, Mr. President. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, we go to the prayers. Prayer 1, mandate the Committee on Special Duties to liaise with National Emergency Management Agency to urgently supply relief and rehabilitation materials to the communities affected to mitigate the sufferings of the victims. Those in favor of prayer 1, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes. Prayer 2, equally mandate the Committee on Poverty Alleviation and Social Investment Program to liaise with the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development to provide minimal seed capitals for the victims in the affected communities to facilitate their various economic activities. Those in favor of prayer 2, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes. Thank you very much. Leader of the Senate. Okay. Senator Binosi Arododa.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm coming under Order 42. With your kind permission, I would like to read. Order 42, the matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. If the claim is allowed by the President of the Senate and the leave of the Senate is given by at least 1/5 of all senators, the matter shall stand over to the next legislative day. Mr. President, he has to listen.
Go ahead, please.
The matter I'm seeking approval to bring tomorrow by way of motion has partially been presented by my distinguished colleague and brother, Senator B.K. Amos. It has to do with the conflict.
Senator Solomon Adiola, please stop disturbing Senator Balan Ibn Allah.
So, Mr. President, as I'm saying, the matter I want to bring tomorrow by way of a motion has been partially presented by my distinguished colleague and brother, distinguished Senator B.K. Amos, and that is the matter of the conflict between the Waja and the Lunguda communities. As a matter of fact, this conflict...
No. You are not moving the motion. No. You are not moving the motion. You have come under 42. No, it's okay. I think we have had enough. Don't go into the details. Then you can take it tomorrow. But I have to put the question first. Distinguished colleagues, our colleague Senator Binos Yarododa has come under Standing Order 42 requesting to present his motion the next legislative day, which is tomorrow. So we need the endorsement of at least 1/5 of our colleagues here. Those in favor that we allow our colleague to present his motion the next legislative day tomorrow, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of a House bill standing in my name on the Federal College of Agriculture, Kirikasama, Jigawa State Establishment Bill 2021. Mr. President, we wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal College of Agriculture, Kirikasama, Jigawa State Establishment Bill 2021, HB 382, first reading.
Federal College of Agriculture, Kirikasama, Jigawa State Establishment Bill 2021, HB 382, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of our bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Michael Adetukumbo Abiru on the Dishonored Checks Act, D11 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 Amendment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Dishonored Checks Act, Cap D11 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2021. For Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators,
Kogi United, you may proceed to the tea room, please.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Dishonored Check Act, Cap D11 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2021, SB 687, first reading.
Dishonored Checks Act, Cap D11 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2021, SB 687, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of our bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Ike Ekweremadu on the Federal University of Agriculture, MPU, Umpu, Enugu State Establishment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal University of Agriculture, Mpu, Enugu State Establishment Bill 2021, SB 690, first reading.
Federal University of Agriculture, Mpu, Enugu State Establishment Bill 2021, SB 690, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of our bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Biobara Kuma Deji Eremiyamu on the Compulsory Free Universal Basic Education Act, Cap C-52, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, Amendment Bill 2021. Mr. President, we wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Compulsory Free Universal Basic Education Act, Cap C-52, LFN 2004, Amendment Bill 2021, SB 691, first reading.
Compulsory Free Universal Basic Education Act, Cap C-52, LFN 2004, Amendment Bill 2021, SB 691, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of our bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Albert Basi Akpan on the Public Complaints Commission Act, Cap P37, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, Amendment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Public Complaints Commission Act, Cap P37, LFN 2004, Amendment Bill 2021, SB 692, first reading.
Public Complaints Commission Act, Cap P37, LFN 2004, Amendment Bill 2021, SB 692, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on National Identity Card and National Population on the screening of Muhammad Dattijo Usman for appointment as Federal Commissioner representing Niger State in the National Population Commission. Distinguished senators will recall that the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief was referred to the committee on Wednesday, 3rd March 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Saeed Ahmed Al-Kali, Chairman of the committee, to move a motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Distinguished Senator Saeed Al-Kali. You need to present it first.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Saeed Al-Kali. I represent Gombe North. Mr. President, I rise to move the motion for the confirmation of the nomination of Mohammed Dattijo Usman as Federal Commissioner, National Population Commission representing Niger State. I so move.
Senator Bima Mohammed Nagi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, my highly respected distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Bima Mohammed Enagi. I rise to second the motion that the Senate receives and considers the report of the Committee on National Identity and National Population. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of our Committee on National Identity and National Population, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Chairman, you lead the report, please. Chairman, you may give us an abridged report. You can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senate, at its sitting on Wednesday, 3rd March 2021, considers the request of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for the confirmation of the nomination for appointment of Mohammed Dottijo Usman as a Federal Commissioner, National Population Commission, and refers same to this committee for further legislative action. The Population Commission is established under Section 1531J of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, and the nomination is in line with Section 1541 of the Constitution, which provides that the chairman and members of any of the bodies so established shall, subject to the provision of this Constitution, be appointed by the President, and appointment shall be subject to confirmation by the Senate. In furtherance of the Senate mandate, the committee requested for and received the CV, security clearance, and other relevant document of the nominee. I invited him to appear before it for screening exercise. The committee examined his CV and other supporting documents and thereafter screened him. The committee screened Mohammed Dottijo Usman on 18 March 2021 and received information regarding his experience, suitability, and competence to assume the position of a federal commissioner in the National Population Commission. The summary of his CV, working experience, membership of professional bodies, award is contained in page 3 to page 6. The committee screened the nominee on Thursday. He responded satisfactorily to questions asked by committee members relating to his previous experience and reflected in his curriculum vitae. The nominee equally demonstrated sufficient knowledge of Nigerian demography, enumeration area demarcation, census, data collection, and analysis. Indeed, he is a revered academia with high intellect, and he is still ready to contribute immensely to the development and growth of Nigeria. The committee, after the screening exercise, deliberated on the nominee suitability for the appointment as Federal Commissioner, National Population Commission, and hereby makes the following observations and findings. That the appointment of the nominee is in line with the requirement of Section 1541 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. That the nominee possesses the requisite qualification, integrity, leadership qualities, and comportment to discharge his responsibility as Commissioner in the National Population Commission. That there is no petition against the nominee. There is no negative report against the nominee by security agencies. That the nominee has presented his code of conduct acknowledgement slip, and that the nominee is qualified for appointment as Federal Commissioner of the National Population Commission. Recommendation. The committee, having scrutinized the CV and other accompanying document of the nominee in the course of the screening exercise, hereby recommends that the Senate do approve the confirmation of the nomination Mohammed Dottijo Usman for appointment as Federal Commissioner, National Population Commission. I so move.
Any comments? Leader of the Senate, Committee of the Whole.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move a motion for this distinguished chamber to resolve in the Committee of the Whole to consider this report. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolves into Committee of the Whole to consider the report, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, we'll do approval now. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Muhammad Dattija Usman for appointment as Federal Commissioner representing Niger State in the National Population Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I hereby move a motion for the distinguished Senate to resume plenary for the chair to report progress. I so move.
Minority Leader. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate reverse the plenary for the chair to report progress, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on National Identity Card and National Population on the screening of Mr. President's nominee for appointment as Federal Commissioner, National Population Commission, and approved the nomination of Muhammad Dattija Usman as Federal Commissioner representing Niger State in the National Population Commission. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Confirmation. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Muhammad Dattija Usman for appointment as Federal Commissioner representing Niger State in the National Population Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Muhammad Dattija Usman is hereby confirmed as the Federal Commissioner representing Niger State in the National Population Commission. Congratulations. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is the second reading of the Nursing and Midwifery Registration, etc. Act, Cap N 143, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, Amendment Bill 2021. Distinguished colleagues will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Wednesday, 5th February 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Hassan Mohammed Gusau to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Distinguished Senator Hassan Mohammed Gusau, Jarma.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Hassan Mohammed Gusau. I came from Zamfara Central. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead a debate on a bill to amend Nursing and Midwifery Registration, etc. Act, Cap 143 FLN 2004. The primary objective of the bill is to ensure high quality of nursing and midwifery education in Nigeria, maintain high standard professional nursing and midwifery practice, and enforce discipline within the profession. The bill was read for the first time in this hollow chamber on Wednesday, 5th February 2020. Let me use this opportunity to highlight the background of the bill, which I believe it will not only justify the laudable legislative initiative, but also motivate this chamber and indeed the National Assembly to accelerate the legislative process in passing this bill into law. The Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria is a parastatal of the Federal Ministry of Health, established by Decree number 89/1979, now known as Nursing and Midwifery Registration, etc. Act Cap 143, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004. The Act is a product of the Nursing Act of 1970 and Midwife Act of 1966. Since 1979, the Act was amended and in 1998, 1989, and 1992. It's only legal, administrative, cooperative, and statutory body charged with specific function to ensure the delivery of the safe and effective nursing and midwifery care to the public through quality education and best practices. The Council is mandated by law to regulate the standard of nursing and midwifery education and practice in Nigeria and review such standard from time to time to meet the changing health needs of the society and provide solutions. Consequently, This bill is proposed to provide a legal framework for solving the major problem faced by the Council in giving effective to the provision of the Act. Objectives of the bill. The bill seeks to, among others, 1. For the purpose of accreditation, Council shall address the issue of student-teacher ratio in training institutions to include other related areas as part of the teaching staff of the institutions. Include advanced nursing practice, which will provide efficient and quality nursing care to Nigerians in line with the global best practices. To allow private-owned nursing training institutions in Nigeria to restrict the composition of the Council, redefine qualification and tenure of the office of the members of the Council, review the penalty provisions, provide an action notice of the Council before proceeding to court for readiness. This innovation will give the Council opportunity to minimize litigations. Content of the bill. The bill contains 22 clauses amending the section 2, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 20, 21, 23, 24, 26, as well as the first third schedule of the Principal Act. This bill is a product of my personal experience as a nurse. I realized so many challenges which made it very difficult for this country to have adequate nurses and midwifery on this country. In conclusion, given the inadequacy of the existing legal orders, which are currently hindering the smooth implementation of the Act, and the need to remove obsolete provision and update the provision of the Act, there is a serious need for this bill, sir. Finally, it should be obvious that this bill has no cost implication. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I urge you to all support this bill for the second reading. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Ayo Akinye-Lure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name remains Senator Ayo Akinye-Lure, representing Ondo Central. Mr. President, I rise to strongly support this bill for passage to second reading. But this bill is apt and is timely at the time Nigeria needs health professionals. This bill for an act to amend the Nursing and Midwifery Act, Amendment Bill 2021, has not been amended since 1979. And the challenges of this profession need to be addressed by the National Assembly. That is why distinguished senators Mohammed Hassan from Safra Central has thought it fit as a chartered nurse, and who had the privilege to be in the Red Chamber today to move for amendments of all these 22 clauses, most of the 20 clauses that is needed at this time of pandemic. Mr. President, I urge all my colleagues in this chamber to support this bill for second reading. I so second, Mr.
Is anybody against the bill? Against the bill? Okay, leader.
Mr. President, I just want to seek an explanation from the mover of sponsor of this bill, whether in his estimation, his amendments also do address one of the major challenges of the health professionals in this country. That is the issue of brain drain. Mr. President, you may notice over the years, this country has been losing experienced nurses to countries in the Middle East, the British National Health Service, and the health services of the United States. If you go to these countries, you will find that a substantial number of their nurses are nurses who have been trained at public expense in Nigeria. And we have been losing a lot of them to these countries in the Middle East, the British National Health Service, and the United States, and several other European countries, where a lot of the nurses and health professionals who have been trained at public expense in this country, have been migrating, to these countries in order to find soccer. Has the bill, or does he intend for this bill to address some of the challenges that are involved in these particular instances?
Leader, I think the bill is clear on its objective. It's largely to ensure high quality of nursing and midwifery education, So it's restricted to that segment of the health sector. Observation, even though we don't have observation, but Senator Balanala.
Thank you very much. I am not in particular opposed to the bill, but I think when it gets to the committee, there is the need for committee to understand that access to justice, access to court is a fundamental right of every citizen of this country. And if we sit in this Senate and continue to allow a situation where for every law that we pass, we say there should be pre-action notice, we are indirectly curtailing the constitutional rights of citizens. And I therefore urge that when it gets to the committee level, this particular provision that requires pre-action notice should be expunged from the bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Senator Hassan Mohammed Jarma, do you want to react to what the issue the leader raised briefly?
I think all that depends on the committee after the public hearing.
Okay. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the National and Midwifery Registration (ETC) Act (CAP) and 143 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 and for other matters connected there to 2021 SB 304 second reading.
A bill for an act to amend the Nursing and Midwifery Registration (ETC) Act (CAP) N 143 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 and for other matters connected there to 2021 second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Health to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I write a motion for this bill to be read the second time. I so move.
Leader.
Mr. President, the third order of the day is the second reading of the Critical Infrastructure Protection Bill 2021. The single senator will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Thursday, 11 February 2021. Mr. President, we wish to invite the single senator, Muhammad Sani Musa, to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
The single senator, Muhammad Sani Musa.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I am Mohammed Sani Musa, representing Niger East Senatorial District. And I stand here to lead the debate on Critical Infrastructure Protection Bill 2021. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on the general principles of the bill for an act to establish the Critical Infrastructure Protection Coordinating Committee and the Critical Infrastructure Protection Task Force with the primary responsibility for the protection of critical infrastructures in Nigeria. You will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this chamber on Thursday, 11 February 2021. Critical Infrastructure Protection, CIP, is a concept that relates to the preparedness and response to serious incidents that involve the critical infrastructure of a nation. The very essence of this bill is to provide coordination for the protection of critical infrastructures. In the past, infrastructure elements were physically and logically independent and separate. They had little interaction or connection with each other or other sectors of the infrastructure. This bill, when passed into law, will empower the coordinating committee and the task force to perform the following functions. Coordinating committee rules. Produce a detailed schedule for addressing the objectives of critical infrastructure protection. Identify critical infrastructures and consult with owners and operators. Assess scope and nature of vulnerability of and threats to critical infrastructures. Determine what legal and policy issues are raised by the efforts made to protect critical infrastructures and assess how these issues should be addressed. E. recommend a comprehensive national policy and implementation strategy for protecting critical infrastructure from physical and cyber threats and assuring their continued operation. F, propose any statutory or regulatory changes necessary to improve critical infrastructure protection. G, produce reports and recommendations to the steering committee as they become available. H, submit and periodically review the critical infrastructure list. While the role of the task force will be to provide and facilitate and coordinate the provision of experts' guidance to critical infrastructure to detect, prevent, halt, or confine an attack, and to recover and restore service. 2, issue threat and warning notices in the event advance information is obtained about a threat. 3, provide training and education on methods of reducing vulnerabilities and responding to attacks on critical infrastructure. Conduct after-action analysis to determine possible future threats or methods of attacks. Coordinate with all law enforcement agencies and authorities during and after an attack to facilitate any resulting criminal investigation. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, protecting critical infrastructure against disruption of any kind is increasingly crucial in maintaining both domestic stability and national security. The systems and facilities that make up the infrastructure of society are often taken for granted. Yet, a disruption to just one of those systems can have dire consequences across other sectors. The critical infrastructure protection, CIP, is a challenge within each nation's own responsibility that should be supported by legislation. Every government in every nation has a responsibility to protect this essential critical infrastructure against natural disasters, terrorist activities, and now cyber threats. From energy organizations to transportation companies, it is paramount that security in all critical infrastructure sectors is of the highest standard, and that disaster preparedness, response, and recovery are top priorities. The world is changing, and digital and physical systems are converging. Systems that once stood alone managing critical infrastructure operations are connecting to the internet and sharing sensitive data. This new world structure brings with it new security problems. Critical infrastructure protection organizations must be prepared for and respond to serious incidents involving critical infrastructure, environments, and to protect against ever-growing number of threats. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the establishment of the Coordinating Committee and the Critical Infrastructure Protection Task Force shall have minimal financial implication on the finances of government, as members of the committees are on secondment from other government bodies and are proposed to serve without compensation but shall be entitled to travel expenses and per diem as authorized by law. The Ministry of Defense shall provide the committee and the task force with administrative services, staffs, and other support services and such funds as may be necessary for the performance of the functions of the two bodies. The ministry shall further reimburse executive branch components that provide representatives to the two bodies for travel expenses and per diem as authorized by law. Budgeting for critical infrastructure protection shall be subsumed under the budget of the presidency. Therefore, I urge you all to support the expeditious passage of this bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Sadiq Umar Suleiman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I'm Sadiq Sulaiman Umar. I represent the good and decent people of Kwara North and OR. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I rise to support the bill on the Critical Infrastructure Protection Bill. Mr. President, in Nigeria today, we all agree that infrastructure, especially the critical ones, is largely responsible for our underdevelopment. And nationally, our major challenge has always been coordination, strategy, and implementation of whatever policies we have in place. We've never lacked policies, but implementation, proper strategy, and coordination is the problem. This bill will solve all of these problems if passed. I therefore support this bill to be read for the second time. Thank you.
Is anybody against the bill? Those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act establishes the Critical Infrastructure Protection Committee, the Critical Infrastructure Committee Task Force, and for other matters connected there with 2021 SB 610 second reading.
A bill for an act to establish the Critical Infrastructure Protection Committee, the Critical Infrastructure Protection Task Force, and for other matters connected there with 2021 second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Establishment and Public Service to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is the second reading of the Integrated Data Management Commission Establishment, etc. Bill 2021. Distinguished colleagues will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Thursday, 14th November 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, this is the lead debate for a bill on an act to establish Integrated Corporate Commercial Data Management Commission. Mr. President, sir, is on. Mr. President, sir, distinguished colleagues, I thank you for the opportunity to lead the debate for the second reading of the bill for an act to establish Integrated Corporate Commercial Data Management Commission as the body responsible for comprehensive collation, harmonization of certificates issued by corporate commercial statutory regulatory bodies, gradation based on compliance with...
Is anything wrong with that mic?
It's on.
It's working.
Thank you, Mr. President. Maybe this is better. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I thank you for the opportunity to lead the debate for the second reading of the bill for an act to establish Integrated Corporate Commercial Data Management Commission as the body responsible for comprehensive collation, harmonization of certificates issued by corporate commercial statutory regulatory bodies, gradation based on compliance with enabling laws regulating corporate entities in Nigeria and other matters connected therewith 2020. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, this bill seeks to establish and undertake the enumeration of all business corporate entities registered in Nigeria under one data system, conduct comprehensive review on all certificates, audited reports, annual return filed, certificate of incorporation, tax clearance certificate, pension commission certificate, industrial training fund certificate, approved annual return, etc., to all corporate entities by corporate regulatory agencies in Nigeria. 3, to establish, maintain, and update a data bank for continuous collection of data and grading / classification of corporate entities in Nigeria, and to provide framework for effective harmonization of activities of relevant regulatory agencies relating to corporate commercial entities in the country. 4, to provide an integrated data card or code for each and every corporate commercial entity for an acceptance fee in Nigeria, which is expected to incorporate, among others, vital information such as certificate of incorporation, annual return, share allotment, particulars of directors, Form CO2, Form CO7, memorandum and articles of association, audited reports, stroke statement of affairs, tax clearance certificate, PENCOM certificate, industrial training fund certificate, NSITF certificate, etc. 5, to ensure accuracy and reliability of all information received from corporate entities in Nigeria through background checks before it becomes part of the information in the data bank. To provide framework for grading corporate commercial entities in Nigeria based on compliance with the enabling laws regulating them, and to provide incentive for the performing corporations in the country. 7, to provide framework for effective corporate entities data sharing with relevant government agencies and other stakeholders for purposes of facilitating national planning and economic development in Nigeria, geared towards making them to participate in the development of the country and for the purpose of utilizing the human capital and material resources towards the overall socio-economic, cultural, and political development of Nigeria. 8, financial implications. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the establishment that would be created by this bill will be self-financing through its internally generated revenue and would not be a burden to the country. Number 9, electronic platform. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the establishment will be administered on an electronic platform in line with the global best practice, which will allow easy, fast, and reliable access to information. 10, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is paramount to clear the air before I end my debates on the fear of most government agencies regarding this bill. Thus, the objectives and goals of this bill is apt and quite different from those which does not in any way encroach into the jurisdictions and functions of National Population Commission, Independent National Electoral Commission, National Identity Management Commission, Immigration, etc. Hence, this bill, when passed into law, will deal with gathering of essential data of commercial corporate entities, in contrast to the aforementioned agencies, which are mainly concerned with population enumeration, electoral matters, identity management, and immigration issues of individuals and not corporate bodies. Having said this, I therefore urge you all to support this bill in its entirety, as it will also increase our country's rating on the ease of doing business in Nigeria. Thank you all.
Senator Lukule Amosu.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Ibikunle Amosu, I represent Ogun Central. Mr. President, let me first appreciate the efforts of distinguished Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf for bringing up this, what I would call very important, very strategic bill, and that is the bill to establish integrated corporate commercial data management. Mr. President, in a nutshell, what he's trying to do is to take the burden off almost all the players in Nigeria business cycle. It's like creating a one-stop shop, and it will bring some kind of sanity into the business and commercial environment. Mr. President, in a scenario when you want to do anything with the government, you will be asked, if you look at the, I think paragraph 4+4 here, and it will provide an integrated data card. He listed all of those things from certificate of incorporation up to the NSITF certificate. You will discover that you will be moving from one office to another. Time will be wasted. Not that you will not pay, you will pay. Artificial bottleneck will be created. People will be feeding fat on you. And that is why, if you look at our rating in ease of doing business, these are the things that take us back, because we are not adhering with world best practices. Mr. President, if you recall, distinguished colleagues, when TIN, that is tax identification number, was created, it resolved a lot of problems, because somebody will tell you that I paid my tax in this state when they want to do business in another state. But since you now have one that is integrated, nobody can lie. At the touch of a button, everything will come out. Mr. President, this will solve a lot of problems. At the touch of a button, people will know the status of whichever business entity that want to do business in Nigeria. At the touch of foreigners, everybody will believe in our system. They will know that within minutes, all the information needed will be given. Mr. President, he has allayed the fears that I want to even talk about. And that is because people will now say, no, if you take this thing from us, we will not make our money. No, whatever you need to be paid will be centralized. And once the money is paid, it will be transferred to whichever agency that is responsible to take that money. So you don't need to move to NSITF today, going to get PENCOM tomorrow, going for maybe the annual return day after. So everything will be integrated. Everything will be put in one stop shop. And I'm happy the way he has explained it. This will reside in the Ministry of Trade and Investment. I don't know whether CAC itself can be co-opted so that at any time that you need to do any business, you know that you don't need to run around from one office to another. And this will help us. It will help us to be in line with the world best practices. Thank you, Mr. President. I want to urge my colleagues to support this very strategic and important bill. I so submit, Mr. President.
Is anyone against the bill? Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Integrated Data Management Commission as the body responsible for comprehensive collation, harmonization of certificates issued by corporate statutory regulatory bodies, graduation based on compliance with enabling laws regulating corporate entities in Nigeria, and other matters connected there with 2021 SB 102 second reading.
A bill for an act to establish the Integrated Data Management Commission as the body responsible for comprehensive collation, harmonization of certificates issued by corporate statutory regulatory bodies, graduation based on compliance with enabling laws regulating corporate entities in Nigeria, and other matters connected there with 2021 second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Establishment and Public Service to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth order of the day is the second reading of the National Animal Identification and Management Bureau Establishment Etc. Bill 2021. Distinguished colleagues will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Tuesday, 14 July 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Mohammed Enagi Bima to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Bima Mohammed Enagi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, my highly respected, distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Bima Mohammed Enagi. I rise to lead the debate on the Establishment Act of National Livestock Identification and Management Bureau. With your kind permission, I would like to proceed. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, with your kind indulgence, I wish to lead the debate on the general principles of this all-important bill, which seeks to solve the age-long challenges of animal identification and management by establishing the National Livestock Bureau for the purpose of livestock identification, traceability, registration, cattle rustling control, livestock disease control, and other related matters. The essence is to safeguard our national livestock and sanitize livestock industry. You may recall that this bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on the 14th July 2020. Background. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, agriculture is the mainstay of our economy and a key sector that will ensure the diversification of the economy. The livestock subsector is an integral part of agriculture and vital to the socio-economic development of the country, though its productivity currently is very low. It accounts for 1/3 of Nigeria's agricultural GDP, providing income, employment, meat, milk, leather, farm energy, fuel, and transport. Recent estimates indicate that Nigerian national livestock comprises 18.4 million cattle, 43.4 million sheep, 76 million goats, and 7.5 million pigs. Majority of the animals are raised in extensive production systems comprising smallholders and nomadic herders. Large commercial holdings are currently rare but expanding. Mr. President, my highly respected distinguished colleagues, livestock identification ID refers to keeping records of individual farm animals or groups of farm animals so that they can be more easily tracked from their birth through the marketing chain to the table. Historically, livestock identification was intended to indicate ownership and prevent rustling. Today, livestock identification has been expanded to include information on the animal's origin, e.g., birthplace, parentage, sex, breed, genetics, as well as traceability, i.e., the ability to trace an animal product back through the marketing chain to its source, while identifying those other animals or animal products with which it has come into contact. Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues, it should be noted that despite Nigeria having about 40% of entire cattle population of West Africa, the country cannot participate in the export of meat and other dairy products due to the absence of a functional animal identification and management system in Nigeria. Furthermore, the movement of livestock and other products has increased the spread of diseases, increased the threat to human health, and reduced consumer confidence in animal products. The Bureau, when established, will ensure the traceability of animal products into the country in order to safeguard the lives of our people. Benefits of the bill. When passed into law, the bill will address the following objectives. Number 1, creation of a national livestock identification database. Number 2, ensure management, traceability, and control of movement of livestock. Number 3, ensure livestock health and disease management through disease surveillance, prevention, and quick response to disease outbreaks. Number 4, food safety through the traceability of animal products. 5, enhance transparency and information in the food chain. 6, deter animal theft, especially as it affects the incessant cattle rustling crisis. Number 7, aid intelligence gathering by security agencies through mitigating the incessant conflicts between herders and farmers. Number 8, international market access and trade through diversifying the economy. The Bureau, when created, will facilitate and ensure the operationalization of a national system of livestock identification, registration, and traceability through developing strategies, mechanisms, and schemes for the implementation of the system, and in particular evolve a standard national uniform procedure. The national database will serve as a guide for policy formulation by government. It will also ensure the regulation of participants in the livestock industry. Overview of the clauses of the bill. The bill contains 28 clauses with a schedule. Clauses 1 to 6 deals with the establishment, objectives, and functions of the Bureau. Clauses 7 and 8 provide for appointment of staff and pension matters, while clauses 9 to 12 contains provisions for funds of the Bureau, annual estimates and reports. Clauses 13 to 17 deals with the establishment and functions of the zonal bodies. Conclusion. Mr. President, my highly respected distinguished colleagues, the National Livestock Bill will greatly enhance the development of livestock industry in the country. With the vast livestock resources available and proper use of experts, it can be exploited to transform the livelihood of millions of farmers and other stakeholders in the livestock value chain. In the long run, an enabling law will sanitize the sector, reduce communal conflicts, and harass farmers' clashes, enhance foreign exchange earnings, give the desired boost to the ongoing agricultural renaissance that the present administration is passionate about. Finally, my distinguished colleagues, in accordance with Order 77.3 of our standing rules, the estimated capital and recurrent expenditure for the first 12 months is hereby attached. I implore you all, Mr. President, and my highly respected colleagues, to support the second reading of the bill. Thank you for listening.
Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Aliu Sabi Abdullahi. I represent Niger North Senatorial District. Mr. President, let me commend my distinguished colleague and brother for bringing up this bill and leading the debate. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, let me also refresh our memory to the fact that this bill passed through the 8th Senate when it was sponsored by distinguished Senator Abu Ibrahim and was actually passed for third reading in this chamber. Unfortunately, it never went through. I want to say that this coming of this bill is timely again, and it should be supported. I support it fully, and I want to urge that my colleague also support that the bill be read the second time. The key issues we should take note of, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, is the fact that if we keep talking about diversifying the Nigerian economy, and we say the agricultural sector is key, let me say that the livestock sector in the agricultural industry is key also, because it contributes nothing less than 1 point something to 2% of the GDP. If we look at the value chain of livestock generally, whether you are looking at it from beef or from dairy, Nigeria is in deficit. And the problems our farmers are facing is clearly one of rustling now, especially with the incessant insecurity. Just recently, if you are following the stories, you get to hear that a lot of cattle are being rustled out of farmers, particularly in Zamfara, Sokoto, Katsina, Niger State, and some other parts of the north. But I think the most important aspect also is the fact that because of the way cattle farming is done in this country, it has increased the level of farmer-herders conflict. But if you have this, bureau, which definitely even the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations has actually advocated for, is that you are able to identify your animals. The last time we had a livestock census in this country was in 1992. And after that, every other thing, even the data being given here is an estimation. So this is to tell you how important this bill is going to be, both in terms of the food chain, because for some of the livestock products, we use antimicrobial substance. So we should be able to trace what you produce, how you produce it, and where it ends up. And I think the essence of this bill is to actually tackle that. Now, we should also remember we have the African free trade. That itself is important, and so our farmers must be able to participate. That is why this bill is important. With these few comments, Mr. President, I urge that we support the reading of the second bill of this bill. Thank you.
Senator Kabir Abdullah Barkia.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Senator Engineer Kabir Abdullah Barkia. I rise to support this very important bill, Mr. President. When I look at it, just do some analysis. I say, for example, this banditry issue. It's a result of this cattle rustling. I concur. As I said here in this red chamber, sometimes when we had a meeting with some of the leaders of these bandits, they said yes, because they were having cattle, but there was no control. And then when they were stolen, they said, okay, they have no alternative but start doing this banditry activity. Therefore, when we have this one that's going to be controlled, that's the movement of the cattle, and also minimize this conflict between farmers and these cattle owners. And then another thing, Mr. President, this census, because recently the governor of Katsina State, because after studying all this issue of the banditry, he said he called all the emirs and then district head, village head, then let's come back with this, what you call jungly in Hausa, that's cattle census. Because by the time you have census, you know, yes, this, local government, they have so number of cattle, the owners are there, and then if, for example, now after like 3 or 6 months, they go again and carry out the census, they say, yes, this local, why you have this, that's what they were not there before. So this is very important. It will not only even control the movement of the cattle, but also the security issue. So therefore, Mr. President, I would like to support this very, very important bill that it should be passed, and it will help us in checking out this security problem. Thank you very much.
Senator Bashir Ajibola.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Dr. Surajuddin Ajibola Bashiru. I represent Osun Central Senatorial District. I'm raising a constitutional point of order in respect to the constitutionality of this bill as to whether the National Assembly has the power to make law on livestock identification, which is the subject matter of this bill. And Mr. President, distinguished senators of the Federal Republic, I predicate my constitutional point of order on Section 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and second schedule to the Constitution. By Section 4 of the Constitution, the extent of legislative powers of the National Assembly is limited to 1. Matters enumerated in the exclusive legislative list, matters in the concurrent legislative list to the extent designated so for the National Assembly, and any other matter expressly provided in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I've looked at the Constitution. Issue of livestock management identification is neither on the exclusive legislative list, it is also not on the concurrent legislative list, and is not so otherwise enumerated in any part of the Constitution. The implication of this is that by Section 4, Subsection 7 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it is the state that has the power to do so, and I'm strengthened by this with the authority of the Supreme Court decisions in Attorney General of the Federation, Attorney General of Lagos State, and Attorney General of the Federation, which is reported in Part 833 of the Nigerian Weekly Law Report. So, in essence, as admirable as the objectives of the bill may be, the National Assembly on the state of our Constitution as enumerated in Section 4 and the second schedule to our Constitution has no power to make that bill. I submit. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Badai Benalla, before I rule.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Sorry, Mr. President.
You are welcome.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, I read in passing the debate on the issue as to whether the Senate has legal capacity to legislate on issue of agriculture last week. Unfortunately, I have not been around. It is by providence that today the same issue is being raised. Based on my limited understanding of the Constitution, sir, the establishment, let me put it this, sectorization of powers of the National Assembly under what is called the exclusive, the concurrent list anticipates 2 situations, sir. 1, if it were under a system that is of confederate nature, then you can religiously say that we do not have the power. But because the system is federal in nature, the Constitution anticipates that a situation might arise where the overriding national interest will be tabled for consideration. And that is why the Constitution says, if an issue is presented on the concurrent list, both the National Assembly and the state assemblies have powers to make law. And that where the law made by the states becomes inconsistent with the one made by the federal, ours shall prevail. That is the provision. And that is the necessary intendment of the framers of our Constitution. Let me in particular address the issue of agriculture. Agriculture under a federal state, a federal system, is both an issue of state and an issue of federal government. Because both the federal government and state must be keenly interested in their ability to make food available to their citizens. So it is in line with this that I think it will be an error to religiously quarantine the power and the legislative competence to legislate on agriculture to states. With due respect to the position held by my brother and friend, Senator Bashir, the Senate has legislative competence to legislate on issue of agriculture. And Mr. President, if you permit me, I will say that this is one of the best moments and best legislation to be presented for the intervention of the Senate in view of the lingering crisis that we are having, more especially as concerns the northwestern part of this country regarding cattle rustling. Extraordinary situations require extraordinary actions. And this is the reason why we find justification by the Senate to legislate on the issue of agriculture. Mr. President, if the contents of this bill is implemented, it means movement of cattle, for example, livestock, from any part of the country will be strictly monitored. It means we will make it almost impossible for anybody to have access to illegal livestock and sell them elsewhere, which means the principal basis upon which people go to rustle cattle will have been defeated. And I think that it is better for us to err on the side of action that will bring peace to this country than for us to err on what we can conveniently refer to as legislative convenience. As far as I'm concerned, as far as the Constitution is concerned, it is anticipated that agriculture will be both an issue for the state and the federation. And that is why, Mr. President, today in this Senate, we have a full-fledged federal Ministry of Agriculture with budgets assigned to that ministry, with officers and ministers appointed for that and approved by the Senate. So for us to come back and think that we can all do that and then we do not have the power to legislate, I think, beautiful as the argument may appear, when pursued to its logical conclusion, it will appear hopelessly illogical. With due respect, I think the position of the law is that we have the legislative competence to proceed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. I think I've listened to the point of constitutional point of order raised by Senator Bashir Ajibola, and of course the intervention by Senator Bala Ibn Na'Allah. Last week, we had a similar issue, and I ruled that we had the constitutional power and the legislative competence to legislate on the National Food Reserve. Today is the issue of the management of our livestock section or sector. This is a sector, an industry of between 5 to 10 trillion naira in this country. And any government or any parliament will try to do anything possible to ensure that such an industry is protected, is promoted, to ensure that people earn their livelihood from this, that people also have, or the country has a food reserve of some sort from that industry. I believe that in this Senate we even had a resolution, a legislative intervention that was based on doctrine of necessity, because there was need for the National Assembly to intervene even when it was clear that there was no provision for such a situation. Sitting here, I believe that we will be doing this country good, we'll be doing justice, we'll be doing a great deal of service to our people, that we legislate on this. The identification is just one side of it, but the protection and management of this sector of our economy that is so huge and massive is critical to our economy. It's not something that we leave it to the states to go and do whatever they want to do. Let the states also try to maybe legislate to complement whatever the National Assembly will do. So based on Standing Order 25 sub H, which gives me the authority to interpret both our standing orders, the rules, and constitutional point of orders, I rule that this Senate, and indeed the National Assembly, has the legislative competence to legislate on this matter. So is there anybody who will contribute to the debate? Is there anybody against the bill? Those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the National Livestock Protection, Control and Management, etc. Bureau for the purpose of livestock identification, traceability, registration, cattle restraint control, and for other related matters, 2021 SB 471, second reading.
A bill for an act to provide for the National Livestock Protection, Control and Management, etc. Bureau for the purpose of livestock identification, traceability, registration, cattle restraint control, and for other related purposes, 2021, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Agriculture, Rural Development report by within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the seventh order of the day is a motion standing in the name of distinguished Senator Oyelola Yisa Ashuru and 5 others on the need for liberalization of cement policy in Nigeria. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Oyelola Yisa Ashuru to move this motion.
Where are you reading from? My order paper is different from yours. Huh? Huh? Leader, the first motion is sponsored by Senator Nora Ladi Dadut.
Page 9, okay. I'm sorry about that. The sixth order of the day. Yes. The sixth order of the day is a motion standing in the name of the distinguished Senator Nora Ladi Dadut on the fire incidents in Namu Central Yam Market in Plateau State. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Nora Ladi Dadut to move the motion.
Distinguished Senator Nora Ladi Dadut.
Mr. President, thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, I rise to move this motion in regards to the fire incidents in Namu Central Yam Market in Plateau State. The Senate notes with serious concern the fire that razed the central yam market in Namu, which is situated in Kwanpan local government area of Plateau State and is in my constituency, that is Plateau Southern Senatorial District. This market is one of the sources of revenue to both the state and the local governments, and it serves as major income to both the farmers and traders in Plateau State. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Senate also further notes that the Namu yam market is known for quality yam and yam seedlings, not only in Plateau State, but across the nation. The market is a major supplier of both yam for immediate consumption as well as yam seedlings for planting. For more than 4 decades, Namu yam market has been supplying yam not only to Plateau State, but also to other major commercial towns like Lagos, Port Harcourt, Kano, Maiduguri, Sokoto, etc. I'm sure most of you are eating the yam that comes from Namu market. The Senate also, Mr. President, is aware that the cause of the fire was linked to a spark from a grinding engine in the market, and the fire spread and destroyed most of the yam and other valuables. Furthermore, the dry grasses used to preserve yam heaps at the market made it easy for the fire to rage quickly and has affected hundreds of farmers and traders. The Senate further is worried that the overwhelming losses suffered by the farmers and traders have rendered the business community penurious, leading to serious social crisis, which, if not urgently addressed, can lead to a breakdown of law and order. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is observed also that farmers, traders, and other stakeholders are overwhelmed in their efforts to ameliorate their condition, and their determination to address the challenge cannot be successful without the intervention of the government. It also observes that it is the constitutional responsibility of the federal government of Nigeria to provide for the security and welfare of the people of this country as a whole, and Kwanpan local government area of Plateau State in this case. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Senate further is concerned that the consequences of this episode is that there might be shortage of yam and yam seedlings, resulting in price hike. Thus, economic activities will dwindle, worsening the already economic challenges in the country. Furthermore, it is concerned that the extent of destruction of yam tubers and other valuable properties calls for urgent national intervention to give a practical demonstration to the federal government of Nigeria's constitutional responsibility to the people of affected communities. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I have just 2 prayers. 1, to urge the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs as well as NEMA and other relevant government agencies to immediately provide relief materials to the traders as well as respond to the huge financial losses resulting from the fire outbreak, to provide succor to all those affected. And secondly, to urge the federal government to carry out any other immediate action which will improve the condition of living of the affected community resulting from the fire outbreak. Thank you, Mr. President. I so move.
Senator Balo Jibrin, Kano North.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Senator Baro Jibrin. I represent Kano North. Mr. President, first of all, permit me to sympathize with the traders in this popular market who lost their stock, the foodstuff, seedlings, and other valuables worth millions of naira in the fire outbreak. Mr. President, this event is a sad commentary on the way we run our affairs as a nation, because I believe that the proper thing is to have a fire station somewhere around markets and other important places, so that whenever there's a fire outbreak such as what happened in that market, the fire outbreak will be quenched without allowing to cause havoc, much havoc. But there wasn't any such facility around, and so that sad event was witnessed. I think the proper thing to do is to come to assist these traders because allowing them to remain after this event, to remain without their means of livelihood will not go well for their families, themselves, and everyone that relies on them. So it's good that the relevant authorities should come in to assist Ministry of Agriculture to see how it can assist these people. The humanitarian department of government should also come in to provide palliatives so as to reduce or to help them in this time of need. I sympathize with them. They are neighbors because Plateau is we have common boundary with Plateau State, and as neighbors we fully sympathize with them, and we do hope the federal government will come in to assist them as soon as possible. I so submit, Mr. President.
We go to the press. Urge the Minister, Prayer 1, urge the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, NEMA, and other relevant government agencies to immediately provide relief materials to the traders as well as respond to the huge financial losses resulting from the fire outbreak, to provide succor to all those affected. Those in favor of Prayer 1 say aye. Those against any die. Prayer 2, urge the federal government to carry out any other immediate action which will improve the condition of living of the affected community resulting from the fire outbreak. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against any die. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the seventh order of the day is a motion standing in the name of distinguished Senator Oyelola Isa Ashuru and 5 others on the need for liberalization of cement policy in Nigeria. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Oyelola Isa Ashuru to move the motion.
Senator Ashuru.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I stand to present a motion on the need for liberalization of cement policy in Nigeria. This bill is being sponsored by 6 people. There's omission on Engineer Barikia, who is not included, as a matter of error. Aware that cement is of strategic importance to our infrastructures, such as roads, bridges, drainages, as well as construction of residential and public buildings. Note that cement is one of the few building materials in which Nigeria is self-sufficient. As at 2018, the installed capacity of cement producer was about 47 MMT, which is far above the 2018 estimated consumption of 20.7. Yet, the prices of cement in Nigeria is about 24 to 40% higher than global average. Cognizant that cement takes a large share of domestic expenditure and the price of such commodity significantly impacts the government's ability to provide much needed infrastructural works required for the growth of our economy. Further cognizant that the recent increase in price of cement from 2,600 to 3,800, and in some places as much as 4,200, slow down the amount of construction work being embarked upon, thus negatively slow down labor engagement and almost collapse the procurement plan of government. Mindful that Nigerian cement factory is oligopolistic in nature, with just 3 players: Dangote Cement controlling 60%, Lafarge controlling 21%, and BUA 17.6%, largely dominating the scene, therefore making it susceptible to price fixing. Convinced that if the status quo persists, the negative consequence of high price on the economy will outweigh the benefits of locally processing cement. Worried that significant rise in cement prices in the country and low purchasing power of Nigerians may result in low building construction standards and non-completion of land infrastructure works. Strongly believe that there's an urgent need to encourage more local production of cement to satisfy demands of Nigeria with a steady growth rate of approximately 3% per annum, a housing deficit of almost 30 million, and engagement over 10.5 million workforce of building and construction industry. Further strongly believe that unfavorable government policy, such as imposition of multiple tax, erratic power supply, government ban on importation in violation of ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme, and subsequent lifting of importation in favor of few producers have negative implication on the growth of our infrastructure. Accordingly resolved, urge the Senate to advise the federal government to liberalize our cement policies on cement production, particularly license restriction, to attract more investors in order to make cement more available to Nigeria at a moderate price. Call on federal government of Nigeria to provide more industrial incentive and instruct industrial protection such as offering concessionary loans and larger tax incentives to new entrants in order to boost production of cement, reduce price, and encourage more valuable producer in Nigeria. Urge the federal government to set up a committee to investigate anti-competitive practice by local cement producers, direct the cement industries in Nigeria to increase their production and reduce the price of 50 kg of cement to BRS minimum, considering the fact that materials for production are mainly sourced locally. Mr. President, I submit.
Senator Ibrahim Abdullah Gobir, the former Managing Director of Subquarter Cement of Northern Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues. This is a very important motion, but there are certain areas that we have to look at. Cement sector is a private sector. Cement sector is very capital intensive. And the issue of saying that we have to liberalize all our policies, then it means that we are heading for the collapse of the industry itself. So what is very fundamental here is this. We have to understand where the cement is coming from. The issue of ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme, yes, I know it has been existing, that anybody within the ECOWAS can actually move with goods freely. But the fundamental issue is that you have to protect your own enterprise. And there is no country in West Africa that has the potentials like Nigeria. And therefore we have more industries in Nigeria than in any part of the West African country. And therefore we have to be very careful in that we have to protect our industries no matter what the situation is. Then of course when you are talking of the issue of lifting the importation, by the time you lift the importation, what is going to happen is that you are going to kill the industries because the home manufacturers, home investors, and then also the employees will have problems because there will be a lot of layoffs, and then the industry will also collapse. But what I believe is fundamental here, like you mentioned, that the federal government should give incentives to the investors so that they can produce more. Yes, I agree with that. But I also want him to understand that it's a private sector and everybody is free. If you want to establish cement industry, you can go ahead and establish it. It is free. There is no restriction in that establishment. But he has to understand that it's very capital intensive. There is no way anybody can gag these people because it is an expensive project. And therefore, I will advise that, yes, in as much as the cement price is high, what is fundamental here is that government should give more incentives. Look at even the issue of tariffs, how much they actually spend on the electricity bill. It is very, very tremendous. It is very, very difficult. So I think really, in as much as this is a very good motion, but we also have to trade with caution in advising the government on what to do. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Senator Sadiq Sulaiman Umar.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Sadiq Sulaiman Umar. I represent the good and decent people of Kwara North, and we all are. Mr. President, considering the infrastructural deficit in this country, housing deficit, private and public houses deficit, unemployment in this country, cement appears to be a critical commodity that has effect on our national economy. It's therefore important that we pay attention to this commodity, like we pay attention to other commodities such as fuel, for example. Mr. President, I think this motion is up, and I urge the Senate to pay attention to all the prayers so that we can have an intervention in this industry because of its reverberating effect on our national economy. I so support, Mr. President.
Go to the prayers. Prayer 1, urge the Senate to advise the federal government to liberalize our current policies on cement production, particularly license restriction, to attract more investors in order to make cements more available to Nigerians at a moderate price. Senator Gobir, in your submission, you said there is no, sorry? So how do we amend that? Well, Senator Ashiru is your, this thing, huh? Do you want us to amend it?
One way or the other, we have just 3 producers now. So maybe we should encourage, we say we encourage more producers to come in. If there's no government.
No, that means government needs to encourage more investments. So that would come through fiscal or whatever policies. Senator Gobir, let's find a way.
No, what I'm thinking, Your Excellency, is that we'll just expand this one, number one, because you cannot liberalize everything, that's one. And secondly, also, there is no restriction, on investment on cement. So we have to actually do away with this item number 1.
So, distinguished Senator Lola Ashiru, do you want to amend this, or you want us to, or withdraw it, or we vote on it?
The discretion of Your Excellency.
Senator Sadiq Umar.
Mr. President, I think prayer 2 seems to have addressed the concern for prayer 1. Yeah, so I would recommend that the first prayer should be stepped down, and 2, when you look at it critically, will address the concern for prayer 1.
If you also offered me the opportunity to say something on the prayers, left to me, I would suggest that we take prayer 2, and that should be it. Yes, we encourage investors, through policies and incentives, whatever it is, something like that. Because even prayer 3, where we are talking of investigation of anti-competitive practices, that itself is allegation, isn't it? Huh? So, what do you think, Senator Lola Ashiru?
Maybe we should stick with prayer 2 to provide more industrial incentives.
Okay, so you are suggesting we take prayer 2 and you stand down or you withdraw prayers 1 and 3. Is that correct? Are you okay with that? Okay, so prayer 1 has been withdrawn, prayer 3 has been withdrawn, so I will only put the question on prayer 2, which is now our prayer 1, the only prayer. Those in favor of the only prayer, say aye. And let me read that prayer. call on the federal government of Nigeria to provide more industrial incentives and industrial protections, such as offering concessionary loans and larger tax incentives for new entrants in order to boost production of cement, reduce price, and encourage more valuable producers in Nigeria. I think that's perfect for the motion. So those in favor of this prayer, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Leader of the Senate.
My highly respected and distinguished colleagues, having concluded the items on today's order of proceedings and the order paper, I hereby move that the Senate adjourn until tomorrow, Wednesday, 21st April 2021 at 10 a.m. prompt. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second that this Senate adjourns to tomorrow, 21st of April, for another legislative day.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion by the leader and seconded by the minority leader that the Senate do adjourn till tomorrow, Wednesday, the 21st day of April 2021 at 10 a.m. from say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate is hereby adjourned till tomorrow, Wednesday, the 21st day of April 2021 at 10 a.m. from.